Right, so here we go again. So today we're on the bbcnews.co.uk website, and it seems to be about UFOs again. So the title here it says is the UFO community has been waiting for answers. Has the Pentagon delivered? I'll scroll up to see more of the photo, and there we go. There's some sort of a weird black dash inside the red circle. So let's play the little video and see what happens. Anything exciting happens. Oh, just dots moving around. Okay. It says declassified footage over here. Japan. I love that. In the Middle East. Wow. It could be a bullet going by, I
Yeah, it's like
suppose.
rocket, I think. Like,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. And that was it. Have they delivered? I don't know. So, okay. Over to you then, Ilya. We've looked at the
yes.
evidence. So anyway, the article has been written by someone called Sheila Flynn, and it's just a few days old.
hmm
So over to you.
One California grandmother has been waiting for answers since she was a child, and her mother spotted a UFO hovering while she hung clothes out to dry. A therapist in Texas has been an experiencer since childhood, and another Lone Star resident, a 36-year-old musician, has been delving into the extraterrestrial world since he learned about an incident not far from his hometown. All of them on Friday, like the rest of the UFO community, were waiting with bated breath for what was touted by the US government as a historic moment. The first release of never-before-seen files about unidentified anomalous phenomena, a trove of 162 documents including images, details, and enthusiasts hope a step towards further transparency and answers about what's out there. Whereas previous administrations have failed to be transparent on this subject, with these new documents and videos, the people can decide for themselves. What the hell is going on? President Donald J. Trump wrote on Truth Social after the documents were released. Have fun and enjoy.
Great, very good reading, very good reading. So anything there you want to ask about or query, pronunciations, meanings?
Trove, did I say correctly?
Yeah, that was pretty good. Trove. Yes, trove.
Trove. Mhm.
Yes. So often we talk about a treasure trove of something.
Trove, yeah. And outed,
Whereabouts was that?
it's second paragraph, second line in the
Oh,
middle. Yeah.
touted.
Touted, touted,
Yes, touted. That's it, touted.
touted. All right.
So if you're promoting something, you might
Tout.
tout it. If you're selling tickets, you sometimes get sellers of tickets, and they sort of go outside the venue and they tout the tickets for £1,000, something like that.
Mm.
And they're called touts. It's promoting something, selling something. That's that. Yes.
And the last, probably it's hovering. Second line, first paragraph. First paragraph, second line.
Oh,
UFO
hover.
hovering.
Yeah, I would say hovering. Hovering.
Hover, hovering.
Yeah. Let's do just miss out the ing. So hover. Hover, I would say.
Hover.
Yeah, it's the V sound in the middle, I think. It's pretty good, but it's just a little bit off, I would say. Um, let's pop it in the dictionary anyway. Mellow, hover. So to be floating just above something, I think you would say here, doesn't it? Float, fly, hang, orbit. There we go. And I suppose UFOs do a lot of hovering, don't they? Let's listen to them for a second.
Hover,
Hover.
Hover.
It's a bit tricky, isn't it? Let's listen to the American version. So
hover,
hover. Let's do the British again. So hover.
hover,
You'll go, Ilya?
Hover, hover.
Um, hmm. Okay.
Is it V sound which is off or which
I suppose it's the hover. I suppose it's also the V and the ER after it, really, isn't it? I think hover, hover.
hover?
I think you're sort of running those sounds too sort of too much together. So I don't think the V isn't quite clear enough on its own. So you're running that sound too quickly with the ER after it. Although it's really just a
Mm,
sort of an sound. Uh sort of a sound. And you're doing the sounds correctly, but I think you're running them too closely together.
mm,
Okay.
okay.
So in fact slow it down just slightly in the middle and just settle on the V sound slightly more. Hover. That's obviously overdoing it there. I'd probably do it a little bit as similar to you, actually. I'd probably sort of rush it slightly quickly. Um, yes, butterflies hover, it says down there. So do you fancy just practicing some of these little sentences that use the word hovering down here? So if perhaps this very first one, I'll read it first maybe. Let's do the short one first of all. Get this slightly quicker that way. So mist hovered in all of the valleys. Mist hovered in all of the valleys. You'll go?
Mist hovered in all the valleys.
Okay. So the V in the valleys, it sounds a little bit too strong, I think, doesn't it? So valleys. So and the L's perhaps too. So valleys, valleys.
Valleys, valleys,
Okay, let's just do the miss out the S at the moment. Just say valley, valley.
valley,
Okay. I had to think
v
about that.
valley,
Valley.
valley.
Okay. Let's scroll on. Um, a police helicopter hovered overhead. A police helicopter hovered overhead.
A police helicopter hovered overhead.
Yeah, okay. This one has V, so it's W's on the end up here. So we'll do this one as well. So okay, so beautiful butterflies hovered above the wild flowers.
Beautiful butterflies hovered about the wild flowers.
Okay, so with the wild flowers, let's say the wild flowers again. So the wild flowers, the wild flowers.
The wild flowers.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll think about that. Okay. Um, I did notice perhaps the word grandmother when you said this one up here. That's what I did notice. Let me read out that sort of top line. One California grandmother has been waiting for answers ever since. Well, since, isn't it? So could you say that top line again, maybe?
One California grandmother has been waiting for answers since she was
A child, yeah.
uh,
Um, so it's the word grand. I think it's the TH in grandmother. You've got the sound there, but it sounds a little bit too strong, I would say. It sounds when you say grandmother. It doesn't sound quite right. So just that one word on its own, maybe. So grandmother, grandmother.
grandmother, grandmother.
Yeah, okay. It's just very slightly too strong a sound, I would say. Um, it's only very slight. It's probably it's probably the hover is probably slightly stronger sounding. It's quite. I wouldn't say it's very. I wouldn't say it's absolutely vital, but it's a slight thing that my ear hears when you're saying it. Okay,
Okay.
there's no real issue, I would say as such. But there was another place. It was this. There was the W down here. I noticed down here. Maybe so the whereas. No, it wasn't actually. Well, let's do that line again. Maybe if I read that half a line there to word subject. So whereas previous administrations have failed to be transparent on this subject. So whereas previous administrations. So do you want to read that thing again down there? That bit there.
Whereas previous administrations have failed to be transparent on this subject.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, yeah, that sounds a lot better. Whereas, yes, that's it.
I think
Whereas,
I said whereas.
yes, I think
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yes, whereas, that's it. So
because I
it's
thought it's whereas. Yeah.
yeah, when you that's always a problem. The first line in the sentence, it's often that you don't have very long looking at it because you've been looking at the previous line, then you have to flick to the first word. Whereas when
Mm.
you're reading one word after another, you're reading this word here, the blue one, say, but your mind is already going two or three words ahead. But when you have to flick to a new line, a first word in a new line, it's always a bit tricky. Yeah, so whereas that's quite a sort of a long history to that, isn't it, that one there? So I think there was the word towards somewhere. Let me just find the word. No, I've misspelled towards. Oh, here we, the hound wood. No, wasn't that, was it? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so a step towards. So the page jumped a little bit as I searched for that there. So let's look at that last line again there. Let me read that one to you. So there's a few W's and the W in towards. So this word here in particular, towards, just sounded a little bit out. Only sort of 5% out, I would say, sort of 95% score I'd give you on that, I think. So let me read this to you then. So enthusiasts hope a step towards further transparency and answers about what's out there. So enthusiasts hope a step towards further transparency towards. So you'll go over to you. You'll go.
Enthusiasts hope a step towards further transparency and answers about what's out there.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's good. Yes. Um, I think the W in towards might be very fractionally too strong. You could ease that back a bit, but you're doing okay. It's completely understandable. Your W in watts is perfect, I would say. It's just that one particular word there with the W in the middle. It just sounds a little bit too strong. So let's pop it into the dictionary. So one problem with the dictionary is that it's only one word that they're sort of pronouncing, and so they do try to pronounce every sound in the word sort of perfectly. Whereas in a sentence, with words either side of it, and you're running along quite quickly, it, that is not really. We don't really read just one word on its own. There's normally a whole series of words in a sentence, isn't there? So looking at the dictionary here, picking out one word isn't always the best way of studying a word, but it's helpful in some senses. So count towards, lean towards. Let's listen to how they say it. They seem to be saying the R is pretty much silent, but it's these two letters together. But I think you have that sound pretty much spot on, I would say.
towards,
Towards. Wow. So that's it in a very odd way. I'd say to, and then you hear this wards. It's quite strongly saying wards, isn't it? I don't think most people don't really say it that way, I would suggest. Let's hear it again anyway. So I would say towards,
towards,
towards. It's just a bit slowed down, really, isn't it? And sometimes the S is missing off the end. I think they're highlighting here. Can we just say, we'll listen to them once again. She overdoes the pronunciation, I would say, but do you want to then practice it a little bit after she says it? So I'll say after she says it, then it's your go, Ilya.
towards,
Towards, your go?
Towards.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's great. Towards, I said that's great. That's really good, I would say. Let's go back to the sentence again and practice it once more. So, enthusiasts hope a step towards further transparency and answers about what's out there. So, once more, Ilya.
Enth Enthusiasts hope a step towards further transparency and answers about what's out there.
Yeah, okay. I think you lost it a little bit, but yeah, I think you're definitely getting it's definitely getting mellow, more mellow, I would say. It's getting a mellower sound to that one. Definitely.
Hmm.
That's good. I think that was all I really noticed, really. Anything else that struck you about that? About that at all? Would I ask about? So let me ask you a question. So this is about the meaning then. So another Lone Star resident. So it's talking about a lady and a mother and whatever. And then it talks about another Lone Star. So when it says Lone Star, what is it really saying? What does Lone Star mean? Are they talking about like a UFO which looked like a star? That's to confuse you a little bit. That's not really what they mean. So what does
Hmm.
that mean? So, and another Lone Star resident, a 36-year-old musician. So what does the Lone Star bit mean? So it's about a person.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So when each of the states of America, all 50 of them, and this one it's Texas, has a flag, and often they have a little motto as well, a little sort of saying that goes with that sort of each of the states. But on Texas's flag, it's basically just one star on its own, and it's often referred to, Texas is often referred to as the Lone Star State.
Hmm. Okay.
I think they wanted to have Texas a long time ago when it was first made into a territory or whatever it was in America. They were thought about having it as its own little country, and the one star was represented itself on its own. It's very sort of an independent kind of minded state. It almost wants to be independent. So on the American flag, there's is it 13 little stars, isn't there? 13 bands, then 50 stars, and that's each of the states. Well, Texas wanted to be its own star, a bit like Donald Trump, really, I guess. Okay. So I did notice when I was flicking through the photo, it has down here, so watch declassified footage. So watch. Declassified footage shows unidentified anomalous phenomena around the world. So what would you say these words mean here? I think anonymous is not anonymous, sorry, unidentified is pretty good. It's pretty well understood. But what about anomalous and phenomena? What do they mean?
Well, anomalous means something not normal, abnormal, right? So that's unusual.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
phenomena, it's kind of like happening thing in the nature,
Hmm.
which is difficult to explain.
Yeah, yeah. That's very well put. A difficult to explain incident or something happening. Yeah, that's it. Um, so you've got that spot on. So some people mix up phenomena with phenomenon. So put an O-N on the end of that, miss out the A. So is this the plural or is this the singular of the word, would you say?
Plural.
That's right, yeah, that's it. So the A on the end makes this the plural. Although strangely, sometimes you might even see an S on the end of that. Some people put
Hmm.
an S on. I think the Americans did that a little bit to make it phenomenas. It's their way of talking. So that is the plural as it's written there, but sometimes people put an S on it as well to make that clear. So it is a bit confusing. And there was another one here, another interesting little detail here. So often in often you will see in British writing, so they won't normally put down a historic. They will say an. They will put an historic. So they will, although strangely you normally say an when it's a vowel. So do you have anything to add about that, Ilya? Can you explain why they've put this here? Because normally in English, we would say an historic. We wouldn't normally say a historic. Have you noticed that at all? Or?
No, I haven't. I thought it should be A, not N. Okay. I didn't know that you'd normally say N.
Hmm. Just to be aware then. So I'm wondering if, because it mentions about the US government, that again, because the Americans tend to say this, they tend to say ahistoric. They tend to say
Hmm.
that. So I'm wondering maybe it's sort of a direct quote or something. Although it's not actually in a quote box or anything. So let me just type this here a little bit. So the Americans tend to say ahistoric. Let me squeeze that up there. But in but we in Britain tend to say an historic. So it's more of a little detail. But I said it actually just when I said it then, I just said it wrong. We tend to say, although when we say an, we then tend to miss out. We tend not to pronounce the H. We then say an historic. That's what we say, strangely, an
Hmm.
historic. You may,
Uh,
and that's why we have an N there, because we don't tend to pronounce the H for this particular word in this particular situation. Strange, very strange, I know. But that is dissolving away a little bit, and we are tending to follow the American way, which is this way up here, and we just say a historic. So just to make that clear, so the Americans tend to say ahistoric. In Britain, there has been a history of us saying an historic, as it's written here, but we are slowly going over to the American way, the upper way here. So
hmm.
you will see both, but we always put the H in, but we just don't pronounce it often as not. And so it's interesting to see here, even in the sort of on the BBC website, they've sort of gone over to the American way a little bit. So you will tend to see both. But if you want to impress people, try to say an historic. So if you're trying to impress people, you might say it that way. If I'm in a conversation with the king or something, I would probably try to say that. I would probably forget, of course, but there we go. So the H so in French, the H is never pronounced. You never pronounce the H in French. And so there's a good number of words where we just don't pronounce it. Like so there's minutes and hours with the H in front of hour, we just don't pronounce it. And that's part of a sort of a hangover from the French. And I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure that's the reason why we don't say the H. It's hangover from the French.
Hmm.
But strangely, with the Americans, they will say an I think they will say this. They will say an but they will say an herb. So they will miss out the H. They'd never say the H in herb. Or say herb, I should say. They always say herb. But in Britain we always say herb.
Hmm.
So another sort of variation there. So
So you would say an herb in English.
no, no. The Americans would say an herb.
An herb. All right.
An
Okay.
herb. So you can tell
And
if
in
it's an American.
and in English, you would say a herb.
That's right. We always say the H in this case. This is America. This top one's America up here too.
Hmm.
So it's interesting little detail there, just to be aware of.
Yeah,
Okay, so
interesting. Okay.
any questions from anyone else? Ruslan, any questions about that little bit there? Don't ask me anything about UFOs because I don't know what they are. Yeah, that did look like a bit like a missile. I think you hit it on the head there, Ilya, when you said that. Okay. So Ruslan, anything to add or questions there? Well, while Ruslan's thinking. I liked how you read this actually, Ilya. You gave quite a good sort of it's in capitals, so you put a bit of excitement in there. I thought that was good. I think you read that very well. There was a definite
I
sort
think typical Trump's phrase. What the
of
hell is going on?
what the hell is going on? Yeah. And then he says, of course, have fun and enjoy, which is they're very serious about it. And this have fun, enjoy makes it sound like it's a game, a sense, isn't it? Really? It's interesting that. So he doesn't really see the seriousness with which these people take it with. Because this lady up here, her grandmother, what was it, was hanging out the washing and saw one years ago. A therapist is an experiencer and keeps seeing them since childhood. So it's very serious for them, but he's taking it, for them, it's very serious. He's taking it too lightly, I would say.
Mm.
Okay, so Ruslan, over to you. It's your go.
Tony, I'll
With
probably then drop off. So just a quick question.
yeah.
Do you still have that phone number we used to chat through a few years ago? Do you still, or have you changed your phone number?
I don't know. I've kept the same number for the last 10 years. Haven't changed or
Okay,
anything.
right. So I'll text it because I need to pay you for this session. So I'm
Oh,
not
yes.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I forgot. Yes, of course. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Um,
Bye-bye. Yes. I would say he's pretty much fluent.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
very good, isn't he?
Actually, I was impressed by his English.
Yes, yes, very
But
good.
you said
Brilliant.
before that he
Mm.
stayed with your group 2 years, yeah?
Oh, he's been coming on and off for a good few years. I suppose in work, if you're very busy, I don't really know the reason why, but he sort of has a period when he comes along, and he's been
Yeah,
along to some of the walks as well, at least one of them anyway. Funny enough, the walk we did just about a month ago. Last time he came onto that previous walk. We did that about a year ago. No, 2 years ago it would have been, I think.
yeah.
But, okay, so I think that's.
Mm,
Oh
mm,
yeah, that. Did you read that bit there?
mm.
I'm trying to
Actually,
find where he
so
finished. You
no,
carry on.
no, we should start from the Department of the
Hmm.
War debut.
That's it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's it. Yes.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Over to you then.
Okay. The Department of War.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you. So yeah, you started off with
The,
the Department of War.
yeah,
Okay.
the,
Uh,
the Department of the Department of War debuted a new website for the public on Friday with flies and images, but no commentary or conclusions on the material. Writing that, given the scope of this task, it would be releasing new materials on a rolling basis as they are discovered and disclassified with tran- trenches posted every few weeks. The materials are archived here unresolved un, unresolved cases, meaning the government is unable to make a definitive determination on the nature of the observed phenomena. It wrote also welcoming and application of private sector analysis analysis in information and expertise. John Irk H., Regional Director at MUFON Taxes. Uh, MUFON stands for Mutual UFO Network, said he was intrigued. Intrigued.
yes. Yes. Yeah, that last word, yeah, it's pretty good. I would say intrigued. Intrigued.
Intrigued. More E, yeah, intrigued.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, you got it. Yes, intrigued. That's it. A bit more on the E, I guess. Intrigued. So it's sort of a bit like interested, but stronger.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
sort of somewhere between mystified, I would say. It's a bit like if you read a spy book or a mystery book. There's a mystery in there. Yeah, I guess it's the idea of a mystery, isn't it? Intrigue has this idea of mystery being looked at.
yeah. Or for example,
Interest.
in the end of the movie,
The movie.
there is gonna be some conclusion, and people
Mm.
waiting for this intrigued because they are interesting in this, like
Mm.
this.
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much there, I would say. So let's quickly search get the full meaning. So if you are intrigued by something, especially something strange, oh, there we go, strange, it interests you and you want to know more about it. So interested, keen. So interested can be sound quite weak if you say interested. Some people take it as an insult if you're interested in something. But keen is a very strong version of interested, really. I'm very keen on this, you might say. Oh, I'm very keen on this. Fascinated, that's even better. Curious. So it's all of these words. It's sort of a mix of curious and fascinated, I would say. Intrigued is. There we go. And intrigued and interested too, I suppose. Okay. So and this is a made up word in a sense. It's got the word UF, not the word, but it has UFO in the middle. And we didn't say what that stood for, of course. I think you probably know. So what does UFO stand for?
UFO, it's like alien, yeah,
Sort of relate. Often it's related to that. Often it is related, but it doesn't actually mean that technically, to be absolutely
yeah. It's
precise.
actually they live in a space, yeah,
Oh,
and
these guys, aliens, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, I mean a
Mm,
UFO. Someone believe in them, someone know, and a legend about them uh,
mm,
tell us that they live in a space and
mm, mm,
they are a bit similar to people, yeah,
mm,
but not
mm.
they have like legs,
Yeah.
hands, head, yeah, but they are smaller than people, and
Oh, yeah.
uh, color of their skin usually is green, and and
Green
yeah,
skin.
big
Yeah.
eyes without hair, yeah, like this.
I'm gonna have to search some of these, I think. Okay, come up with some photos. So, so that's what UFO is, but that's what you're saying. But I would
Yeah.
normally UFO stands for unidentified. If I spell that correctly, oh, I missed that I think unidentified flying object. So it's an object. It's a big thing. It could be a metal thing. It could be made out of paper. So it's not really a person. So UFO stands for unidentified flying object. That's what it is. Does
Hey,
that make
it's
sense?
completely different thing that I thought, yeah.
Oh, but there's a lot of people think there are aliens inside of these things flying
Yeah,
them. So I
yeah,
understand
but
what you're saying. Definitely.
yeah, what
I
I'm
totally
talking about,
understand.
yeah, they should be inside in this.
Yeah, they're at
In,
the steering wheel driving it, and that's or the foot on the accelerator or whatever.
yeah, and it's actually like a loop boat, yeah, a loop boat with a metal or something else.
Well, there's as many. Well, remember that little film we just watched? That film there. Well,
It looks like a rocket. It's
but there was one. So they showed us this thing here, and there was another one which like a silver ball, but it was moving
oh,
very slowly. Well, I say 30 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. It was a rocket goes, I don't know, hundreds of miles an hour, or even thousands of miles an hour. So it didn't look. It didn't look like a. I don't know. It wasn't obvious to me what it was. Not obvious to me. So there's no explanation with these things here. So they may have said, "Oh, we've studied." They may not say this as well. They may have said that we've studied these videos or these pictures. And I think they did sort of say this when the thing we just read that, and we genuinely can't work out what they are. I mean, and this sort of pencil or whatever it is, it's got sort of a trail coming out after it. Considering how relatively slowly it seemed to be moving, it didn't seem it seemed a little bit did look quite strange in a sense. But so there might be it might just be radio controlled something or other, I guess. But who knows? Um,
So, no one knows.
I missed that. I could hear you saying something. I didn't hear what you said.
I said no one knows exactly what
Yeah.
it was.
Well, if they know, they're not telling us. I think that's the thing.
Ah,
I have a
yeah,
suspicion there are some people who have a very good idea what it is, but it's hard to work out who that person is because there's so many people saying it's aliens, and oh, that's the tricky bit, isn't it? I think. Um, so we did the UFO in the middle of this thing here. So, but that wasn't quite the whole thing. So it's actually got an M in front of it and it ends with the letter N. So most people would say this, and it isn't very widely known, this sort of this anachronism, not anachronism, I forgot what it is. So
abbreviation.
these are the initial letters of a sort of a phrase. So as it says here, so it stands for Mutual UFO Network. That's what it stands for.
Yeah,
But I
so
have heard this pronounced as MUFON. MUFON. That's how people pronounce it. They say it as if it was a word. So, and generally, where there's when a sort of a long phrase has been turned into, I can't think what you call this. Did you just say what it when you turn a
abbreviation, probably.
abbreviation? Yeah, it's a kind of abbreviation. It's a type of abbreviation, isn't it? So when they do that, often they make sure that it can just about be pronounced, and you can pronounce this because it has vowels here and there. It's just and if you can pronounce it, that you're meant to pronounce it normally. And so most 99% of people, 95% of people would say MUFON, MUFON. That's how it's pronounced. But hopefully you'll never come across this word again, unless we do this subject again, I suppose. Um, I notice, so this is that state, and this state is sometimes, as we said before, it's just called, what is it just called sometimes?
Like taxes, but slightly different. We have tax, but it is Texas, yeah,
Yeah,
Texas,
that's it. Yeah, well done. Yeah,
Texas,
that's it.
yeah,
You've got it. Yeah, Texas. That's right.
Mm.
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, you've got it. Well done. And that was all I wanted to say about that. So, were there anything else you want to ask about, or anything?
Oh yeah, there were a couple.
Okay.
1 second. How about my pronunciation of commentary? Commentary? No commentary?
Yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty good, I would say. Commentary.
Comment
Commentary.
commentary.
Yeah, yeah, that's even better. Commentary. Yeah.
Commentary. Okay, commentary.
So, commentary is talking about something, or perhaps even an ongoing discussion about something, or remarks about something. And it comes from comment, doesn't it? So I think I'm pretty much saying comment and then putting the ARY sound on the end. So and it comes out as commentary, commentary,
Commentary. Commentary. Okay.
commentary. Yeah, it's
How
pretty.
about given the scope? What
Hmm.
does it mean? Scope? Scope?
Yeah, so given the scope of this task, so the scope of something you could say is the size of it. So
You mean
it goes
size?
from this the size of something. So it goes from here to over there. And so that's the width of it or the size of it.
Ah,
So it's a big problem. The scope of this problem is huge. I don't think we can cope with this. Or I can easily cope with this problem in about a couple of hours, you might say to someone or
okay.
boss.
It's actually we can say how big is it? Yeah, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, it's but you won't talk about, oh, what's the scope of my of my pay rise or something. How big is my pay rise? You wouldn't say it in that sense. Um, but but it works very well here. This is exactly the situation you would talk about it. So it's in a much more general sense. Um,
Okay.
so he's talking about I think it's talking about understanding the UFO material that they've been looking at. And so given the scope of this task, which is going to be huge, I would thought, and ongoing as well, because there's presumably there's every month or every week there's a new video of a UFO doing something strange in the sky, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. And next, discovered. Discovered. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
It's the V is the tricky sound, I guess, isn't it? So
Mm,
let's do those few
yeah.
words around it as well. So discovered,
Mm,
discovered. You've pretty
di-
much got it, I would say, but let me do those
discovered.
few of those words around it. So because words are almost always in a sentence, aren't they? So they are discovered and declassified. So they are discovered and declassified. You'll go. Discovered.
They are discovered and and declassified.
Yeah, that's it. Declassified. Your declassified is better than your discovered, I would say. Yeah.
Discovered.
Um, yeah, so discover. So when you find something that's new and other people haven't found it before, you're sort of you discover something. You discover
Yeah.
something. I looked
Uh,
under the sofa and I discovered £10 a £10 note. And so we're going out and have a celebration. You
uh,
discover something.
yeah. Yeah. Is
Um,
it not
mm.
so informal when I say I'm gonna discover something in a news? Yeah. Is it okay? Yeah.
I don't think you can look into the future and say, I'm going to discover.
Uh,
Because I think on the whole, you normally talk about in the past.
uh,
Big, I, 10 years ago, I discovered something because, but when you don't know you're going to discover something, discovery is a process which happens of itself, in the sense that we don't control it, if that makes sense.
yeah.
When
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
discovered, when the first person discovered, I don't know, say plutonium, let's say uranium, they couldn't really say, oh, I'm going to discover uranium next week. They can't say that. They sort of, well, I'm trying to discover new stuff, they might say, but I don't know what I'm going to discover. Of course, in a
Yeah.
sense, they may have worked out that they were going to discover uranium, not Ukrainium, but uranium.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But for the most part, people don't talk about I'm going to discover, and unless someone's very arrogant and are very sure of themselves, very sort of self-willed. I'm going to discover a new country. If you say that, it
Yeah.
doesn't quite
Yeah.
make any sense, does it really? Because are there any new countries to discover? Well, on another planet there might be, I suppose, if you're a UFO naut. I just made that
Yeah.
word up then. Yeah. So sorry, I'm getting too excited there. So if we just perhaps that last sentence there from
Okay.
it will. If I read it back to you,
Yeah.
and so it gives us discovered and declassified again. So discovered and declassified. So I'll read it again. So it would be releasing new materials on a rolling basis as they are discovered and declassified, with tranches posted every few weeks. So you've got this word here, tranches as well. So over to you. You'll go.
it will be it will be releasing new materials on a rolling basis as they are discovered and declassified, with tranches posted every few weeks.
Yes, yeah, that's good actually. Yeah, your tranches is brilliant. That's very good.
Tranches.
Tranches.
What actually mean tranches?
Um, as- it's a bunch of something, I would say. A big bunch of something normally.
A big bunch, like a bouquet, yeah, of
Mhm.
flowers.
But the only times you really say tranches is I've heard it used, say, in banking. So banks talk about tranches of money being given to perhaps a business to do some investment or something. Um, or in this situation, a big bunch of information in this case, or being photos and files and videos, presumably. But you wouldn't ever use it outside of those few areas, really. So it's kind of very sort of technical, a bit official, sort of a bank manager kind of word. So it's rather sort of in that sort of very professional area of life. So when I say professional, that means people who are like bankers, people who are like insurance agents, people who have these sort of highfalutin jobs, these high-powered jobs. So I've just tapped in tranche or tranches. Let's hear them say the word. I always think of this having a French origin. I think it has a French origin. So let's quick listen to it.
tranche,
Tranche and tranches.
tranches,
So is it says in here in economics. So people who like to sort of deal with money often talk about sometimes regarded as economists, etc. So a tranche of shares in a company. So again, it's to do with business and how businesses run and work. A tranche is something. A tranche of something is a piece, section, or part of it. A tranche of things is a group of them. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah. So a tranche of something is a group of these things, whatever this thing you're talking about. But you'll notice the examples are to do with funding, so money again here. And the last example here is to do with managers and board directors who run a business. So it's this sort of it's kind of one of these highfalutin words that bank managers use, and people who run businesses. That's the kind of word that they would use when we're talking about a group of something. And it's normally to do, as it says here, to do with money, investment, or an installment of money, or a portion of shares, or to do with loans, this sort of idea. And it comes from the French, and it literally means a slice. So a slice, maybe you're entitled to a whole loaf of money, but the bank almost always gives it to you in small slices as you need the money. That's how the banks work normally.
Yeah,
So,
I would give you some example of
yeah.
this
Hmm.
tranche, tranche, yeah, tranche,
Hmm.
tranche.
Yeah, that's good pronunciation. Yeah, tranche.
Yeah, I know that Ukraine uh, had got a, an tranche from the European country, from the UK, like help,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
and it's like it can be like a weapon as well, like a money as well, and yeah, something needs as well, and
Hmm.
they give uh, it in a tranche, like
Mm.
yeah, but we in
It,
Ukraine need. Repay.
we'll probably say S. Oh yeah, yeah, repay. Yeah, so tranches.
Tranches,
So
yeah,
it would so the money would be given to Ukraine to spend in tranches of 10 million or 10 billion pounds or dollars or whatever it is. Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Yes. And
tranches,
there's
yeah.
a good little example down here. So the final tranche of the loan. So if it was, say, a 90 billion euro loan, the final tranche might be the last 10 billion euros given of the loan, sort of thing. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Tranche. Uh,
Tranche.
actually,
But you can be
it's
plural as well. So yeah.
yeah. Actually, this word tranche is
Tranche. Hmm.
tranche. Yeah,
That's
tranche.
it. Yeah, tranche. Yes.
Tranche.
Hmm.
A bit similar to the Ukrainian.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Does the same sort of job, does it? It has the same meaning, does it?
Yeah, the same
Okay.
meaning.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might come from the French as well, then, presumably, because we get it from the French. It says that because in
Yeah.
French it means a slice of something,
Yeah.
which is exactly how we use it. Yeah.
In our language, it sounds like tranche,
Oh,
tranche, tranche. But in English,
yeah.
tranche.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's so close. It's
Yeah.
annoyingly close. It's so close. You're going to mix them up, I suppose. Yes.
Yeah.
Tranche. So let's listen to things more precise how they say it. So there might be a slight difference here. Let's listen to the plural one anyway, I should say.
tranches,
Tranches. Well, maybe it is closer to your version actually.
tranche,
Tranche.
Tranche.
It is closer to your one. Do you think it's closer to the way you're saying it? I think
Yeah,
it is.
I guess. Yeah, it's
So maybe I'm slightly out. So I'm saying tranche, tranche, tranches, and she's saying
tranche,
tranches. Yeah, yeah.
tranches.
Tranche. Yeah, tranches. Yeah. So I think you're slightly closer to it than I am, really, to be honest. Well done. Very good. So, okay, let's go back to the article then.
Yeah.
Here we go. So we looked at scope, tranches, tranches. We looked at this last paragraph here, which is about MUFON and Texas. So do you want to just say MUFON and Texas again, just for practice? MUFON, Texas.
Texas.
Texas. That's it. That's good. That's it. And maybe the
Texas.
last one too, the last word.
Intrigued.
Oh, yeah, spot on. That's it. That was a good few
Intrigued.
minutes ago, so well remembered. That's it. Intrigued. Intrigued.
Intrigued.
Okay. I think that word there, you were very close, but it was a little bit out. So maybe if we practice that last sentence. So I'll read it to you. So it's that last word is expertise. Expertise. So I'll read the whole sentence then. So the application of private sector analysis, information, and expertise. So you'll go.
The application private sector analysis, information, and expertise.
Yes, spot on. That's it. That's it. Expertise. You've got it. Yeah, that's good. Well done. Very good. Then a couple of lines above, yeah, that word there. Maybe if we read from there, that little bit there. It's only a few words. So to make a definitive determination. So it was the word definitive.
Definitive.
To make a definitive
Def-
determination. So
de-
you'll go.
uh, to make a definitive determination.
Yeah, that's it. So maybe determination as well. I
Um,
think when you said it, I think the A sounds a bit too strong when you're saying it. So if I just read the word, say the word back to you. So determination, determination. Do you give it another go?
uh, Determination.
Yeah, spot on. That's it. You couldn't get any better, I think. That's it. Determination.
It's
So, yeah, what does it mean? I was
y-
going to say, what does it mean? Yeah.
yeah, I would like to say
Mm,
about the meaning of
mm,
determination. It
okay.
looks like a definition of something, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much, yes. I tend to think of it as being something has been decided. It's
Ah, has been decided. Okay.
yeah. So if you define something, you just if you make it if you say what it is, you're determining it. You could say really. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that's right, really. Yeah, what you said. Um, and then it says definitive. So these sort of two words go very much together. You could say. So what would you say these two words together mean then? Or does it make any difference at
Definitive.
all? Definitive
Um,
determination.
definitive. It's actually, to my mind, looks like definitely from definitely now.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
basically, yes, yeah, pretty much. So could you sort of come up with a new idea to explain that, or some different
Okay.
words maybe?
Uh, um,
So
shall I read it? Yeah, whole
yeah,
sentences of it?
let me read it to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and you
Okay.
can think about it while I'm reading it. So I read that bit there maybe. So it's talking about UFOs, about unresolved cases. Then it says, meaning the government is unable to make a definitive determination on the nature of the observed phenomena. In other words, they
Uh,
can't, yeah, of the UFOs.
yeah. I would say
Hmm.
um, it's like precisely precisely determination. They
Yeah. Mm.
yeah like this.
Mm.
This is about two words, yeah, as you asked me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Well, what you're doing is
precisely.
great. Just talk about that sentence or those
Yeah.
two words. That's good. Yeah. So you're saying precisely, and that's exactly it for definitive.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. You couldn't get a better definition, really. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, we can say exact. Yeah, exact. No.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, definitive. So it's you probably could use two or three other words along with it as well, but really what you that's it, I think. I'm very happy with that. That's brilliant, I would say. That's pretty much what I would say or could say. So definitive is like the one final, the the exact, the true. That's some of the ideas which are hiding in there, I would say. So, and it says final, convincing, absolute, clinching. So when it says clinching, that makes it slightly hard too. So if you're trying to prove something is true, you might say, oh, the clinching evidence that this is true is this detail here, and that is the absolute final proof, you might say. This one clinching piece of evidence is the one final proof that makes it absolutely certain that this is whatever it is. That's clinching.
Okay, Lynch.
And that's the same idea as definitive. So it's that one, perhaps not necessarily one, but it probably is one piece of evidence which makes something unquestionable. It is certain, quite certain now. It is like it is this rather than something else. So let's actually read their definition rather than me struggle. So definitive basically means, as an adjective, something that is definitive proves a firm conclusion that cannot be questioned. Oh, that's it. Yeah, it cannot be questioned. That's a great way of putting it. You cannot question this. It's the absolute proof now. That's really what it's saying. And the other word was determination. And basically, it's deciding something. Let's put the word determination in there, actually. So, have I spelled it correctly? I've forgotten what the word is. It's determination, isn't it? Here we go. I think that was the
Determination.
word. So let's try that one. So it's a noun. So determination is the quality that you show when you have decided to do something and you will not let anything stop you.
A bit,
So you've decided something basically.
bit, a
Definite.
bit different meaning because yeah, what I said. I said it's like a definition.
But in a way, if you well, let's read some of the other meanings. Well, first of all, let's say determination also means resolute. You're really decided on doing something, or you have resolution, or you have very decided purpose, resolve, or drive. Let's roll on. Well, they only have that as a meaning. Oh, let's carry on. So they've had other ones down here too. Um, so the act or an instance of ending an argument by the opinion or decision of an authority. So I would say you can't, in a sense, you can't necessarily pick out which of the meanings it is in one way, because a lot of these sort of roll one into the other, perhaps. So the act or an instance of making a decision is a determination. You could say that this is a determination about something. The condition of being determined or resolution. The act or an instance of fixing or settling the quality, limit, position, etc. of something. So it's probably this one here, isn't it? I think maybe. Is it this one? That's probably fairly close to it there, and perhaps the one after it too. So a decision or opinion reached, rendered, or settled upon. So if you settle upon something, you've decided what it means, you could say, in our use of the word. So something has been decided, this is what it means. Or actually, in fact, well, more was the case, they couldn't decide what it meant, I should say. But yeah, so no, I go along with
Okay.
what you said. I think that is true what you said. I think that's great.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of different meanings there, isn't there? It's quite interesting, really. There's quite a few legal meanings, isn't there? There's two legal meanings there. Right, okay. So this is quite good too. So a resolute movement towards some object or end. So yeah, you could say they have been unable to get to this determination. They couldn't get to a definitive determination. So they could not get to a object or an end. What is the meaning of this? So yeah, that's spot on. Yeah, I like that. That was good. That was a good meaning in that sentence there.
Yeah.
So we spent quite a while on this bit here. So we did tranches or trenches. There was another word. I think it was this word here. So if I just read this bit to you, then that bit there. So the materials archived here are unresolved cases. So what do you think archived means? So the materials archived here are unresolved cases. So what does archived mean?
About archived,
Hmm.
it's actually the evidence about
Hmm.
past
Yeah,
and
okay.
about yeah, some phenomena we
Mm,
could say, or something similar to it. It can be some historical moment, historical moment, and yeah, and
mm,
it can be in a court, some information about someone, or
mm.
yeah, like this. It's actually uh, documents which
Yeah.
contain proofs of something.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I would say. So you said documents. Often I think of as documents as being archived. Archived. So when something is archived, it's sort of put in a filing cabinet and sort of left in a dark office and doesn't get looked at again for years for years later, maybe for another few years or something. So if you I think in the UK, when you pay your taxes, you're meant to keep all the evidence of what your taxes were for 7 years. I think that's right. Maybe I'm wrong now, but I think that's the case. And you basically you have to archive it. So you store it somewhere safely for 7 years, and once after 7 years, you can then throw it away. That information, they can't then be questioned. Your taxes. You have a perfect right to throw it away, but until that point, you have to keep that information because the tax authorities might come and chase after you. I can't be certain what the exact years are, but it's something like that. Yeah, so archive means the storage of
Mhm.
materials, basically.
Yeah, but it's actually
Mm.
uh, it's not in a past, no? It's just a noun, yeah, of archived,
I
archive.
suppose you could use it as a verb as well. I'm going to do some archiving today. You might say something like that, I suppose. You're going to
Okay.
put some old documents into filing cabinets. I used to do that at work occasionally, I suppose. And it would never get seen again. And 5 years later, it would just be thrown away. But there might be some situation where you needed to check those documents or something. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
tend to think as an archive is something like a not really a library, but a storehouse of old pieces of paper. But I suppose it could also be pieces of art, maybe might be archived away. But then again, normally with art, you want someone wants to look at it and to enjoy it. But it just means the
yeah.
storage of something
And
uh,
you know
for
what?
a
It
specific
can be as well
purpose.
digital,
Yeah,
some
that's true. Yeah,
documents.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
when you download some documents or some programs, it usually comes like archived,
yeah.
and
Yeah, so
then
yeah.
you do
You unarchive it, yeah, on a computer. You archive it, yeah,
unarchived. Yeah,
or something
unarchived.
like that. Yeah, which is only sort of used in the computer world. We don't use it outside of computer world, really. I don't think.
Yeah,
The realm,
it
computer
actually
realm.
exists. Yeah, archived. Yeah,
I think it does unarchive. Yeah, I think it does, but
archived.
only in terms of with computing.
Yeah, yeah,
Outside
yeah.
of computing, I don't think you would use it. So let's just search it maybe. Let's put the word archive in there.
Archived.
Put un in front of it. Unarchive. I don't know if it really exists, but so the dictionary doesn't have it, but I think there's I think there's a computer use of the word. So let's search. Add search engine. I just want to search it. Oh, I'm searching on Bing, so it may. Yeah, unarchive means to restore, retrieve data, files, or content that was previously archived, making it. Yeah, so this is the AI answer, which is always a little bit dubious, but yeah.
But I guess people tend to use these words in a computer things, yeah, like
Yeah, the
this
computer world, yeah.
in computer world.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Someone has unarchiver for Windows. It must be a computer program called unarchiver.
Does it sound in a American English the same, archived, or it's probably slightly different?
Uh, yeah, whenever there's an R, the Americans love to say it. So let's go back to the dictionary again. So archive. I can't quite think how they would say it. Archive. Yeah, so yeah, I'm sure they would say it slightly differently, but I don't know about the American pronunciation of unarchive, apart from the fact that they would tend to say the R slightly stronger. So we don't really say the R in English often as not. Or we say it very weakly. If we go down to the American version, let's listen to them saying it. That's the British. Oh yeah, here we go. So archive,
archive,
archive.
archive,
Yeah,
Um,
and they would just put un in front of that, unarchive.
yeah, a bit different, yeah.
Yeah,
Because you know what, I read it like archive because
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's like Yeah, like not.
I see it more like ancient. It's not
Okay.
really like there's no N there, is there? So it's not really ancient. So let's we scroll down. It'd be interesting to see where it comes from. So it's got nothing to do with ancient. So oh, it's some sort of public office. A public office was called the Archeon, I think. Archeon in I don't know. Yeah, yeah, or the yeah.
For example, if it's one
Hmm.
document, can I say an archive?
Talking about one document as being an archive.
Yeah, an archive. Can we say like this?
Uh,
Probably.
how are you pronouncing it? Sorry.
Anchor, anchor.
Are you looking at these words down here? Down
No,
here?
no,
Oh,
it's
no.
just from my mind.
No, not. I've never heard that used before.
Yeah.
No, no. Does it come? It sounds like it might be from Ukrainian. Is it on a variation on Ukrainian maybe? Archiving. Yeah. S- there's an ing you can put on the end of it. That's about it, really. Ed as well, of course. Yeah. So that seems to be the normal endings there. That's it, really. So maybe we'll end it there
Yeah,
because we're
yeah,
never going to end. We always seem to sort of drags on forever and ever. And so
yeah,
with the recording, I think I need to make it slightly more succinct. So
yeah.
let me just end it there. How do I end it? There we go. No, wrong button. Hit the wrong button.